Are the people closest to you propelling you towards the man that you want to become or not? Here's the thing. Most of us want to thrive, but whether or not we thrive is determined by our tribe. You're listening to the Take a Step podcast, where we help faith-driven young men reject complacency and take purposeful action every day. My name's Josh Johnston. Let's take a step. Before we jump into the conversation, I want to give a big shout out to Woodcraft South for sponsoring Take a Step. If there's someone in life that you want to leave an impression on, so if you're in entrepreneurship or sales and you want to impress a top client with a logo engraved gift, or if you want to send a sentimental gift to a spouse like a custom charcuterie board or cutting board, Woodcraft South designs custom woodwork that just captivates your attention. And not only do they deliver amazing work, but it's a brand that's so easy to get behind because Turner Lee, who's the owner, fully embodies the take a step mentality. He spent so long just working behind a desk and building this unfulfilling life. So he started this passion project in woodworking. And a couple years ago, he decided to take the risk and turn this part-time passion into a full-time business that continues to grow to this day. So if there's anyone you want to leave a lasting impression on, or if you just want a custom decor piece to elevate your workspace, you got to check out Woodcraft South. The link to their Instagram will be in the show notes below. Check them out, ask for Turner, and let him know you heard about him from Take a Step. Let's get right into the episode. Who's in your tribe? Now, before I start off with this edition of the Weekly Mile on the podcast, I just want to preface by talking about the importance at which I view relationships. I've said it before, but next to time, our relationships are our greatest asset. They have a direct impact on the person that you're going to become. So why would we be passive about who we choose to associate with and who we choose to let into our inner circle? So I just want you guys to, as I kind of dive into this edition of the Weekly Mile, I want you to just consider and think about, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they leading me closer to the person I want to become? And have you identified that for yourself? So here we go. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. It's a famous quote by Andy Stanley, one of my favorite quotes in the world. Whether we like it or not, the people closest to us shape who we become. When we're younger, it's easy to shrug this off and believe we're immune to outside influence. But the truth is unavoidable. Your inner circle directly impacts your decisions, your mindset, and ultimately your future. The sooner we stop running from this reality, the sooner we can use it as a powerful strategy to build the life we want. So something that's important to call out in this is first recognizing that, just because our peers have an influence on us is not a bad thing. When we're younger, especially, our parents always tell us, the people you surround yourself with are going to have an influence on you. And we see that as a weakness because so many people want to say, no, I'm stronger than that. I can make my own decisions. I can pave my own path. But the second we stop seeing that as a weakness and we start acknowledging that as truth, then we can start to tap into the power of the people we surround ourselves with, seeing that, no, it's not weak. I'm using that as an asset. I'm using that as a way to propel myself quicker towards that person that I want to become. So like I said at the very beginning, next to time, your network is your greatest asset, or it's your greatest liability. The choice is yours. Many of us have heard the phrase, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But have you ever stopped to seriously evaluate that? Take a moment. Identify those 5 people. Now, ask yourself, what does that say about the kind of person you're becoming? Are they people who push you to grow, challenge your comfort zone, and hold you accountable to your potential? Or are they people who distract, discourage, and enable you to stay where you're at? This leads to an even bigger question. Who do you want to become? Not what job do you want? Not what lifestyle do you want? What kind of man do you want to be? What qualities define that person? Courage, discipline, faith, integrity, drive? If you haven't clearly identified the man you're striving to become, it's impossible to be intentional about surrounding yourself with the right people. You have nothing to measure it against. We have to look inward before we look outward. So a little look into my past, I was someone growing up who always was just searching for the approval and for the validation of everyone else around me. And that caused me to pick relationships that would give me that validation, that would just make me feel comfortable. And that validation usually came from making decisions based on what everyone else wanted me to do. So I was building a life that was maybe the life I thought someone else would want me to live, but not the life that I actually wanted to live, because I never identified the kind of person that I wanted to become. So there was no way for me to pick relationships that would propel me further towards that person. Now, because I was seeking the approval and validation, that led me to make a lot of really stupid decisions that was building a life where I was just digging a hole, and I had to spend years digging out of that hole. So if you're at a place where you don't have the right people around you, or you haven't yet identified the person you want to become, like I said a second ago, we've got to look inward before we look outward. We've got to identify where do we want to be, and then go find people that embody those characteristics of the kind of person that you want to become. Once you identify who you're becoming, the next step is to audit your inner circle. So here's a few things to ask yourself. Are my closest friends helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Do they encourage me to take action, or do they fuel my excuses? Now, that's a big one for me. Anytime I was doing something that was causing some hardship in my life, I would complain and play the victim. And I just wanted to be around people that would validate those feelings I have, rather than actually challenging my way of thinking and asking me, maybe you should take a little bit of ownership. That's not what we want to hear, but sometimes that's what we need to hear. And then one more question about your inner circle. Are they living a life I admire? Here's why this matters so much. David McClelland of Harvard University found in a study that 95% of success or failure is determined by the people you habitually associate with. 95%. Why not use that statistic to your advantage? Surround yourself with people who inspire you to excel, not people who make it easy for you to settle for less. Let me be blunt. I doubt you're here because you want to live a mediocre life. Most of us want to thrive, but whether or not you thrive is determined by your tribe. So if you've been following Take a Step or listening to the podcast for a little while, you've probably heard me mention the tribe, which is launching this summer. And what the tribe is a membership community to bring together and to cultivate relationships with young, faith-driven men who are committed to taking action on their personal growth and want to be around like-minded guys who embody that same mindset. In the natural world, it's kind of awkward or uncomfortable to not only build relationships where, those conversations around growth and the challenges and the successes are facilitated, but just the conversations in general are tough to have with anybody because it's kind of awkward to start it. And when you find people who embody those mindsets, those conversations come so naturally. So through the tribe, what we're doing is curating an environment to bring together guys who want to be held accountable, who want to be, who want to be fed sound wisdom from other guys that are prioritize their faith, that are committed to their fitness goals, who are committed to growing professionally, who are committed to building like-minded relationships. We want an environment of guys that want to come together and do life together. So we're building out small accountability groups. We're going to have consistent calls where we're checking in on each other and just staying connected so that we can continue growing and doing this life together. So if that's a group you want more details on, then you can check it out at letstakestep.com and join the waitlist. Or if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to get you any details that you need to know. But to cap off this episode, what are your next steps? There's 3 things I want to challenge you to do. 1, who do you want to become over the next 10 years? 2, who in your life embodies the qualities of that person? And then 3, what first step can you take to establish a connection with them? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Take a Step podcast. Always remember that no matter where you are on your growth journey, every mile begins with a step. We'll talk to you in the next episode.